You're listening to Soap Dirt, the latest in television entertainment news.
Hey there, Y&R fans. It is Belynda from Soap Dirt. If you are listening on the day I published this video, it is New Year's Day 2024. Happy New Year's to everybody who's listening. I've got a special treat for you today. I have the 5 best and the 5 worst storylines on Young the Restless in 2023. I'm going to unpack these for you. Of course, you probably will agree with some. You may disagree with others. That's okay. I look forward to reading your comments and seeing what your favorites were from 2023. We're going to dig into this right now, starting with the 5 best storylines. But if you haven't already, please reach down and click subscribe so you don't miss any of our updates, spoilers, and news. So my number 5th favorite, and we're going to count down 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 1 being the best. My 5th favorite was Mariah Copeland and Tessa Porter's baby hearing crisis. And I'm not saying it's good that something was wrong with their baby, but they're so rarely seen that I really liked that Y&R took this opportunity to put them on the front burner just for a minute. And, you know, they're not going to keep them there. A lot of people are not a fan of them. I like them as a couple. I really liked that she had a medical issue, but that Aria's medical issue was treatable. It was very interesting because, you know, Tessa's a singer and music is important to both her and Mariah, and for them to have adopted a deaf baby is very interesting. It's very touching. I thought they handled it very well. I'd like to see more of it. I also enjoyed how they brought Devon into it since he had that hearing loss and he had to have cochlear implants. So I thought it was just a nice touchback on history, and it was very heartwarming. I think we should see more of them, but that's my number 5. Number 4, I enjoyed this storyline because it was a really good villain, but it was also brief. Too brief, if you think about it, but in as much as they drag out so many other storylines, I do appreciate brevity. So my number 4 favorite plot was Cameron Kirsten. This guy was so awful. His obsession with Sharon was so toxic. I mean, he killed Faith's cat. What a monster. Everything he did was monstrous. He was such a good villain. And if you don't know, they brought back the original Cameron from way back in the day. It was Linden Ashby, and his wife in real life is Susan Walters, who plays Diane Jenkins. So I do love that they had that little interaction at the bar. That was kind of fun. And I know he's busy with a bunch of other projects. He's a busy working actor in prime time and on the streaming services. I thought it was great that Sharon got to kill him. I thought it was great that he was super bad, but didn't stay super long. It was a fun plot. All right. The number 3 on my favorite storylines of 2023 was very sad. It's not that I enjoyed this happening. It's just that I thought it was very well written, very well executed, very well acted. And that is Sally Spectra losing her baby with Adam Newman. I really thought they were going to have that baby. I mean, it was terrible. I thought it was very well written because Sally was so angry and she was lashing out at Adam and blaming him. And if you've ever been through a pregnancy loss like that, a stillbirth, I have been through one. I tell you, they hit all the right notes, you know, having been in Sally's position myself. And I didn't blame my husband, but I was angry. I was angry just in general. I was very angry. I was definitely lashing out, and you have all these hormones and then they have to settle. And there's just so much to unpack with the baby loss. They hit every note. They wrote it really well. I'm assuming that Josh Griffith had one of the female writers on staff write it, because it definitely, again, hit all those things from a mom who has lost a child perspective. It was very sad. You know, she didn't blame Nick because he wasn't there. He was off dealing with that Cameron Kirsten stuff. She did lash out at Adam, but they're back together now. And I look forward to their 2024. I hope they're going to get a rainbow baby. If you don't know what that is a baby that you have after a miscarriage or pregnancy loss. I thought it was a well-written story. That's why it ranked my number 3. My number 2 favorite plot from Young the Restless 2023, and I know some of you guys are really going to disagree with me on this, but that's all right. That's all right. It's a conversation, right? I have to say that I really enjoyed Diane and Jack falling in love. They have been on this slow burn, and a lot of you guys think that she's still scheming somehow. She's just not. I mean, there's zero evidence of it. Everybody's like, oh, she used to be married to Tucker, or she still is. No, that hasn't happened. You can tell with the one-on-one conversations people have. If Diane had been conspiring with Tucker this whole time, that would have come out in their private conversations when no one else is around. The same thing for when, Jeremy Stark was around. She wasn't scheming with him. Diane seems to have legitimately turned over a new leaf. Jack was dubious about her. Kyle was uncertain about her. She's really proven herself. I felt like as they fell deeper and deeper into love and then wound up getting married this year, that it was a deep-seated, very mature romance, very well thought out, very well written. She may screw it up in 2024, but I really enjoyed their storyline across the board for all of 2023. But my very favorite storyline for 2023 was one that's just ended, just at the end of the year, if you haven't guessed it. Jordan Howard and Claire Grace versus the Newmans. This was another one, a lot like the Cameron Kirsten storyline, where it didn't go on too long. The aftermath with Claire is going to last for a while. That's okay. But they did so good casting Colleen Zink as Jordan. She's such a good villain. And it's interesting because Colleen said that Jordan was the worst villain she's ever played. And we know she's played some uber villains. And of course, she's off to jail now. So maybe she'll get out and come back to haunt them another day. But the whole concept of her stealing Cole and Victoria's baby and then gaslighting that kid for 24 years and then unleashing her, them pushing Nikki off the wagon was just terrible, but at the same time, very soapy, very good. It was a very soapy, very messy, very enjoyable plot. It didn't last too long. I felt like it was kind of the perfect amount of storyline with a good villain, with Claire as someone who's villainous but redeemable. I enjoyed all of it, the whole storyline. So it is my favorite. Now let's talk about the worst. Number 5, and I want to say this just real quick, it's not that I don't like the character or the actress. It just doesn't seem to be going anywhere. This is one that's dragging. Unlike the good plot I just mentioned, Mamie Johnson's return. I really like Veronica Red, but this storyline is going on too long. She wants Jill out of Chancellor. Jill is, mistake me if I'm wrong, the majority shareholder. How is she even going to get her out? It doesn't make any sense. And the whole basis for this thing is this decades old rivalry where Mamie had a thing for John Abbott, and that was at the time that he was involved with Jill, and they hated each other, and Jill paid Mamie off to leave town. And so he Josh Griffith, the writer, resurrected this old history, but without a very good plot to go with it. And as I said, I really like Veronica Red, and I have nothing against the character. It's just that the plot is just drag, no end in sight. It isn't very well thought out. It isn't very logical. It's not even plausible, really. And it's still going on now. I don't even know what he's going to do, but I hope he wraps it soon. My 4th worst storyline for the year, and unfortunately, it is continuing into 2024. If you watched my 2024 look ahead sneak peek, you'll know. But the Phyllis, Christine, and Danny love triangle. Oh my gosh. I don't know where Josh Griffith got the idea that anybody wanted to see this. Nobody. I understand wanting to do something special for Laura Lee Bell's 40th anniversary with the soap. I think 40, right? At any rate, that's fine. Bring in Danny, have them get, elope to Hawaii and never come back. That's great. We don't need Phyllis in it. Danny and Phyllis were never in love. She drugged him. She raped him. She lied about him getting her pregnant when she was pregnant by another man. He actually did love Christine. And now Phyllis is here calling Christine pathetic for chasing Danny when it's really Phyllis who's pathetic. This thing is continuing to drag. It is painful. Nobody wants it. Really, it's a terrible plot. All right, my number 3 worst plot of the year, and it is another one that is continuing, is Heather chasing Daniel. If Daniel were still single, I wouldn't care. I like Vale Bloom. I, like the character of Heather Stevens. That's fine. I like that she's raised Lucy Romalotti, even though that's not her biological child. There's a lot to like about them individually. And if he wasn't with Lily, I wouldn't care. But Heather knows he's with Lily. He is serious with Lily. And Heather didn't want Daniel because he was a screw up. He was kind of broken. They never really kind of unpacked all that and told us exactly what he did to so turn her off that they broke up. But it wasn't good behavior. And basically, Lily has cleaned up his act. And now Heather's like, oh, he's better. I think I'll take him. So for that reason, I really don't like it. My number 2 and number 1 plots are both about faked things, and I didn't like either of these. Number 2, Victor's faked dementia. That was so dumb. Thankfully, it didn't last too long, but it was so dumb and it was so pointless. And the point of it was what? To prove that Nate was a snake? Everybody knew that. Victor could have fired him at any time. He didn't need anybody's permission. He didn't need to torment the kids with it. It was just terrible and pointless. And I'm not even going to talk about it anymore because I don't want to give any more oxygen to it. You guys know how bad it was. My number 1 worst plot of 2023 for Young and the Restless, Phyllis faking her death. This thing was ridiculous from the jump because what was Phyllis thinking? Oh, I'm going to fake my death to put Diane away in prison. And then what? She can never be around her children again. She hates Diane so much. She's willing to destroy her children and walk away from them forever. Not that Phyllis isn't capable of thinking just like that, but it was just like a dumb plot that everybody knew from the moment that she tried it wasn't going to play out well. And as part of that fake death, they killed off Jeremy Stark, who I actually thought was a great villain that they should have kept around. And if they hadn't done this fake plot, they could have done something totally different, kept him around. He could have kept on tormenting Diane. So could Phyllis. It was just like lost opportunities and really irritating stuff. And now we have Phyllis talking about, telling Danny, oh, I've changed. You've helped me change. She hasn't changed. The only thing she's changed is her dress and her underpants. She's not changed her attitude, her scheming brain, her mindset for revenge, none of it. She's just kind of dropped her vendetta against Diane only because she's distracted by her new vendetta against Christine. Phyllis hasn't changed. Phyllis will never change. Phyllis is incapable of change, and Phyllis' fake death was definitely the worst plot of 2023 for me. All right, that's it. Let me know what you guys think. I know you probably have some other ideas of what you think were the best and the worst. Drop them in the comments. I will read them all. I love talking soaps with you guys. Please click subscribe if you haven't, and be sure and come back soon because I'm here talking Y&R with you guys 7 days a week. As always, this has been Belynda from Soap Dirt, and thanks for tuning in.
Thank you for being a loyal listener. Follow us wherever you get your podcast because you don't want to miss the next episode. Soap Dirt is on all the major podcast platforms, including Apple Podcast, Spotify, iHeartRadio, and more.